Alright, so I'm gonna show you how to do some of the problems from our 2 to practice our lines parallel. So this is us moving backwards from what we were doing previously. So one thing that's gonna come in handy is this cheat sheet I just posted. You're gonna use this to look at what types of angles you see. So I'll do a couple of these problems to let you see what's happening. So the first thing you want to do is you want to see your two parallel lines here. And you can even pull up your Google form on half of the side and the lines on the other side. So we want to look for our contrapositive alternate interior angles. So the key words here isn't contrapositive, that just means we're moving backwards. It's alternate interior angles. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this cheat sheet. You're going to zoom in and you're going to notice that alternate interior angles is this row right here. So you're going to move over and the colors are going to guide you. So you'll notice that it's the ones diagonal of each other. So we're going to look at the same thing on our picture, our numbers that are diagonal, and they just so happen to be the same exact numbers. So we're either looking for 3 and 6 or 4 and 5 because those would be the diagonals that match up. So if you go down here, you'll see that 3 and 6 is an option. So that's how you would determine how to find the specific type of angle I'm looking for. You're going to do the same thing for this case. You're going to look at where corresponding is instead. So we move down to problems that look like this. You can still use this chart, but it's going to be a little bit different. You want to find the pattern first, and then it's going to allow you to determine what angles you're actually looking at. So I noticed that 130 is kind of on the bottom and the question mark's on the inside. So I know if I look over here, my 130 is in the same location as this 7, and the question mark is in the same location as this 3, and they're both similar colors. So if I look at anything else, I don't see any other instance where those two are highlighted. So this has the 130 spot highlighted, but not the question mark. This has the question mark spot highlighted, but not the 130. And this one has the question mark highlighted, but not the 130. So we're focusing on this one because both the question mark and the 130 are highlighted. So if you read what this means is the pairs that are highlighted are congruent, which means they're going to have the same angle measure. So when you see the word congruent, you know that the same colors mean that they're the same measure. So in this case, if this bottom piece is 130, where the 7 is, then the question mark will also be 130. So you would just type in 130 here. You're going to do the same thing here, look for colors that match on this chart. In this case, you'll notice that this is in the spot of the 2, and this is in the spot of the 7. You will not find repeats on any of the 4. The combination you're looking for will always be on only one image that you see. So then we scroll down, and this one's a little bit different because you notice that the 80 degrees and the question mark are really close to one another. So if we look at these, you might think it's this one because the 3 and 5 are close to one another, but they're not the same color. So if you look down here to where the 3 and 5 are highlighted both in yellow, you'll notice that it says the ones that are highlighted are supplementary, which means they both add up to be 180 degrees. So that's telling us that whatever's in the spot of the 3 plus whatever's in the spot of the 5 is equal to 180 degrees. So if I have 80 in the spot of the 3, whatever's in the spot of the 5 has to add with 80 to give me 180 degrees. And off the top of my head, I know that 100 plus 80 is going to give me 180 degrees. That's how I find that question mark. And it's very similar as you go down. When you start seeing values with x's, you're going to start to write expressions and solve for x. So when I say find the value of x, you want to know that either you're going to have an expression plus another expression that equals 180 degrees, or they're going to be equal to each other. So we see that these are alternate interior. If you look at, sorry, let me pull up the cheat sheet. If you look at the cheat sheet, you'll see that it's in the spot of 3 and 6. So these are alternate interior angles. What that means is they're going to equal one another. So this and this are going to be equal to one another. Let me write it in blue. So you would do 16x minus 6 is equal to, and when you see this box, it means 90 degrees. 90 degrees. And then you would solve for x, which I know you know how to do. So that's how you would do something like that. In another example, you're going to see, but in another example, it's not anywhere on here, they're all done the same way, but you might see an instance where, let me erase this first. You might see an instance where two numbers, maybe one being an expression and one being a number. So say for example, we had the 105 degrees in here and the x plus 112 over here. This is the instance where you would add them to be 180. So in this instance, you would have x plus 12, 112, plus 105 is equal to 180, and you would solve for x this way. But because they're not formatted like this, and they're formatted as alternate exterior angles, you would set them equal to each other again. So this instance only happens when they are within almost like this backward C, or it could be the other way, it could be a C. We're going to go over this on Wednesday as well. So email me if you have any questions, and I can answer any specific questions you might have about this material.